Good afternoon, Facebook family and friends. I am so glad that you can join us this afternoon for this edition of Women in Business. I am Michelle Deborah Sinclair, and I am the author of Deborah's Muse. And we will be featuring our guest on today, as you will see in this rapport. So thank you for coming in, and be sure to share the live. So let me welcome our guest that we will be featuring on today. So as our guest prepares to join us, there she is.
Hi.
Welcome, Amanda. I'm so glad that Amanda Batson. I'm so glad that you can join us today.
I'm happy to be joining you as well, Michelle, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we will be discussing women in business, and I'll be talking to Laura today about her experiences in the business arena and how she was able to thrive and circumvent certain pitfalls. And even if you're out there and you're wondering, I don't have any resources or I don't have any idea of how to get started, this will be the live that you have definitely made the right decision in joining. So let's get started. Amanda?
Sure.
So can you tell us, first tell us your name.
Well, I am Laura Amanda Batson.
Okay, and can you, and how old are you, Amanda?
I am 30 years old. I am the second child of 5 children from my mother's side. Yeah, so I have 3 younger siblings. So uh, I am the big sister to 3 siblings after me.
Okay, that's so. Did you see it as a challenge? You know, being the child. You're the third child. You said the second child.
I'm the second child. Yes, I am.
So what were challenges that are that you may have encountered during the course of time, you know, even before you got into the business arena? Like, can you tell us a little bit about school? What did you study?
Well, schooling for me began, I think, generally as it would have for many. I started at a nursery level. I attended the Virgin Newton Nursery School. Then I concluded 2 years of learning there, went on to the Philadelphia Primary, where I had 6 years of my educational experience added to the two. From there, I went on to the secondary level. I attended the Philadelphia Primary, and then I went on to Leonora Secondary. And there is where I actually I spent 5 years at secondary in the secondary level, and there is where I had the opportunity to make a choice of where I would, arrive as an individual in terms of career choices. So my area of studies at that time, it was in the technical stream, in the arts and the technical stream, the arts and technical stream, where I did a mix of business and science subjects.
Okay. And so do you think your area of study led you to go into the area that you are now in business? Was that a pivotal point for you? What caused you to go into business?
Well, actually, thing is, while I was in the process of choosing a career, going to no, excuse me, sorry. Yeah, while I was in the process of choosing a career, and getting on the path of where I would arrive, I was actually passionate about nursing from a child. And that was basically because I realized that I had this fantasy because I have nurses in my family. So you can say they were like my role models. And that led me to feel as though nursing was my calling. So after doing the science and business subjects, I left secondary school and then I pursued a career, tertiary, not a career, I pursued tertiary learning in nursing.
Okay, okay. And would you say, can you expound? You said you mentioned passion. Would you expound on that a little bit more? And would you say that if I'm passionate about something, is that the thing that would cause you to or propel you into a particular arena? Just your passion can drive that, or was there something else that?
Well, I wouldn't say your passion will propel you. I honestly wouldn't say that because being passionate about something and actually like, getting involved and going ahead and doing what you feel passionate about, it doesn't always come hand in glove. So it wasn't really a passion. Passion doesn't always bring you to that place where you feel as though this is where you should be. Actually, sometimes, yes, passion will help you to get where you need to go, but it's not a defining factor, so to speak.
Okay.
It's not a defining factor.
So we just wanted to clarify that because you may be passionate about something, but it does not say or warrant that you may be able to do that thing because of the passion. So, but how would you describe your start and were you fearful?
Oh wow. Well, first of all, let me say I am a woman in business. I am proud to be a woman in business. Um, Coming thus far, I'm in business for almost 7 years on a personal level, where I came up with a concept and I worked with it. But my start, I was actually broke. I was flat broke when I decided that business is where I would go. Cause thing is, when I started business, I hadn't any money. I had the idea anyhow. So I received a blessing. I received a blessing. I received $5,000, and upon receiving that $5,000, after I decided that this is what I'm going to do, upon receiving that $5,000, I decided I will invest it. I invested it in with the mindset that it can't build my dream at the time, but it can certainly set me on the path to doing so. So I invested that $5,000, and there's where it started. And you ask about whether or not I was fearful. I can tell you, I was so fearful at times that the fear sometimes felt as though it would take me out. It would take me out. I felt so fearful that it, like when it bubbles from the depth of my stomach, it felt as though it would choke the life out of me. However, I had to defy fear. I had to put fear aside, and I settled in my decision, and from there I just continued. I continued. So I invested $5,000, and there's where my journey started.
So I think defying fear is easier said than done. Can you expound on that a little bit more? So if I'm fearful of venturing out on that limb and taking a risk and taking a chance, you started with $5,000. And in the way, looking at the economy today, it seems impossible. So how did you defy fear? Like expound upon that a little bit.
Wow. I love the question. And that's not a question I've been asked many times. How did I defy fear? Remembering how I started, one of the things in terms of me defying fear is that I always had to keep that positivity on the inside, and I always had to keep doing, and I always had to keep going. Even in the times when I felt the fear, I had to decide that I'm not going to stop. So in defying that fear, what I realized helped me is keeping in motion, is staying on course, is just making sure that I show up and keep doing. So that's how I defy the fear, by keeping the process going
Yeah,
and not, turning back or hiding away, or
understand. That
really being.
that's good. So with you said $5,000, which seems impossible to me. Did you count the cost? Like prior to you said business is it, this is where I'm going. Did you count the cost? Like really count the cost?
Actually, I can say this. You can't count the cost when you decide that business is the way that you're going to go. And we're talking about women in business, yes. But in anything that we're going to do, many times we can't count the cost. And from my personal experience, I have had to be counseled, I've had to be mentored, I've had to be bailed out, supported. I've had to be, oh, I've had to be comforted on so many occasions. And I think most, the most invaluable cost that I would have had to pay, the highest price I've had to pay going through in business, is standing up and still showing up and being present and relevant in the face of hearing that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't know what I wanted, that I would be a failure, I'd end up like not a statistic, like that I would not be successful. And not only hearing it, people going out of their way to actually, like, put in efforts to ensure that what they would have thought of me at the time when I started business would actually, come to reality. So going through all of that, being, standing in the face of adversity, going through bankruptcy, encountering homelessness, living literally in the streets, being taken advantage of on so many fronts. The cost could never be weighed when you're going to make a sacrifice to do anything. And I talk about me being in business right now and where I am today, looking back from where I come. The cost could never be measured. You of yourself as the individual have to have that determination. You have to have that drive, and you have to have that will to keep pushing past all of the negativities that may surround you and may come up to try to deter you, and just keep going. So the cost can never be weighed, it can never be measured, it can never be counted. It's just it becomes like something innate, a natural kind of response to that which you choose in terms of your path on life, in life. Sorry.
Wow, that took me to a whole nother emotional field, like that was straight left field. Very strong emotional words, not being able to define the cost because when the odds are against you, and when I learned a saying that says we cannot get through life without support. Like once there is no source of support, we cannot, as human beings, there's no way for us to thrive. And so even as you measured and weighed all the odds that were against you, and still yet you were able to push through and defy these, psychological, emotional, all these things that came at you to defy your position as a woman and wanting to take up the reins of business and run the race that, many might seem like, oh, well, you're a woman, you're incapable of doing certain things because it is frowned upon for women to be in certain arenas, people saying that this is not the place for you. things, would you say that it took a toll on you in any way, psychologically, emotionally? Like how did you break? Were you always so strong? Like, it's like I counted the cost, or the cost can be measured, but I still pushed through. I still was able to run this race. What caused you? What propelled you to keep going and to keep holding on to that vision that you cradled and were trying to nurture at the time?
Well, I can say this much. As I started pursuing, I'll specify one particular area for now. As I started to pursue my career, my business career in manufacturing and distributing, one of the areas that I realized that I faced the greatest challenge in was actually doing business with my fellow women.
Wow.
Let me tell you, I have gone through a lot of humiliating moments doing business with women. One time I can remember doing distribution, and for some reason or the other, there was some kind of personality clash going on with a supervisor at the store. And you know what she did to me? I took, because they take large orders of products, and I went out there to distribute. I took the products in, and she comes up with some kind of line to say to me that, oh, we're not taking products right now. We're not taking in any local products or something to that effect. And I had to leave that store with all the products that I went to distribute. When I was thinking that I would have cashed out, I had to come back with all the products that I went out to deliver. And that was a moment for me. And I asked myself this. I asked myself, why is it that as women sometimes we can be so hard on each other? And that was a kind of break-in moment for me. However, in the process of the evening of the same day, I received a call from management. And the management was like, because the place is surveillance, and the place has surveillance cameras and stuff. And the management was like, why didn't you leave the products? What went wrong? So I said, the supervisor said X and such. And they were like, no, 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 no. Can you come now and bring those products back here? And I was like, okay, I will. So I think sometimes we can be very hard on ourselves when we get into the when it comes to supporting each other. We are not, we are not team players. Sometimes before we try to build each other up, we pull each other down, and I totally don't support it. And many times I've had so many moments where going out to markets, going out to do product distribution and sampling, and trying to do marketing to get my products in into certain markets on certain shelves. I've had to go through processes where people were rejecting me, literally rejecting me. And it wasn't males that were rejecting me, it was women that were rejecting me. And I can remember another market. I took the product, and the young lady who's the supervisor there again, you know what she said to me? She said, no, we're not interested in this product. And I was like, listen, I'm gonna find a way. I am going to find a way, because these products need to be on this shelf. And I found a way. And if I was fortunate enough to meet with the owner of the store. So I took the samples, and they took in the products after a woman said to me, oh, we don't want this. It may not sell and such. So support is a big thing. When you don't have support, I'm telling you, it takes 100 times more the effort to get where you need to go, to get the things done, what you need to get done. However, like I said, will is one of the most important things that will always be the factor that determines whether you arrive, or whether you advance, or whether you retreat. So guys, that's a little bit about support. And I can go so much farther, but support is very important. And many times I can tell you this. I didn't prepare a script for this live, this interview. And reason being, I wanted to talk to you from the heart. You know, when you don't receive the support that you need, when support is lacking, it it causes you sometimes to feel as though you're all alone in the world. But what I can tell you is this: I have found a way to be my own cheerleader and to be my own support. And I've I've had many days, still have many days where I can make myself feel down and I know how to get myself up again. However, you gotta be your own cheerleader. You have to be your strongest supporter if you're gonna stand as a woman in business, because the world out there is harsh. It will chew you up and spit you out. And I learned that being your own supporter and your own cheerleader helps, because many times when you look for the support, from where you look for the support, it never comes. I can tell you this: it never comes, because I can remember reaching out for support spiritually. I can remember reaching out for support from family. I can remember reaching out for support from friends, and it never came. But eventually, people got on board. However, if do not ever go into business and do not ever go into anything, don't start doing anything to say, well, okay, I'm doing it and people are the ones who are going to help me to, like, the people are important. But please do not misunderstand what I'm saying. Don't go with the mindset that, oh, people are going to be there for me and people are going to push me and people are going to support me, especially when you're in startup phases, because it's not always so. And many times, due to the fact that um, you don't get the support of people, it can break you down. And then before you start, before you propel into what you want to do, you end up losing courage and just giving up. Basically, because you have the mindset that, oh, people are supposed to support me, people are supposed to cheer me on, people will be the ones that, like, going to push me, and especially the ones closest to you. When you start getting the pushback from family, it's a crazy kind of thing. But I stand here today as a success story, I can say, because I've defied many odds and I've pushed, I've pushed through tears, through blood, through sweat. And when I say blood, I say literally, because one area of my manufacturing, you can get hurt really badly. And you got to still do what you got to do and show up and make sure that you get those products ready to be on the shelf. So um, support is a big thing, but I'd encourage anyone that's going to pursue business, who wants to start anything, be your first and number one cheerleader and supporter. Be the first. So guys, get that relationship with a mirror going. Get in front of your mirror and start pushing yourself.
Awesome advice. Awesome. So, can you tell us what is the name of your business?
Ah, the name of my business. My business, my company actually, because, and I say this without fear or favor, because my business is going to become such a household name. It's going to be a chain brand, and it's going to dominate the scene. So the products that you're accustomed to seeing every day on shelves, you're going to be seeing my products everywhere. It's going to become so contagious. So I say this without fear or favor. The name of my company is Tus Food. Tus, I say it's Tus Food, manufacturing, catering, and fast food. And Tus is a Spanish word, and it is translated year in English. So you will see TUS with an accent at the top. Many persons pronounce it as TUS, but it's actually pronounced TUS, TUS Food. And I manufacture, I cater. There's a fast food line. My location, actually, I am located at Virgin Eugen. I am beside the public road in the landmark is Levens, the 11th Street, and the Two Brothers gas station in Virgin Eugen. And once you get into that area, Too's Food is located just not far off. So Too's Food is the only taste you should know. And I derived that name through a lot of prayer and thinking and, really getting myself grounded. I prayed a lot about why I wanted to title my company the title that it carries now. And tus is also, it is the meaning of tus in Spanish is actually it's year in English, and it speaks of ownership. So when I was thinking about it, I wanted to cross a language barrier. I wanted to cross a cultural barrier. I wanted to speak volumes. I wanted to speak such a loud volume in terms of my company that it must become so relevant and so impressing upon the people that you must know, you, my clients, you, the people, all of my customers that I'm super grateful for, you must know that what is created under the brand Too's Food belongs to you. It belongs to you. So that's the only taste you should know. And I am the proud owner. I'm the proud CEO coming through all of the tussles, the hassles, and the jostles, the hardships, the pains. I am proud today to say that I own a company called Tooth Food.
That is marvelous. But one thing I want you to talk to us about. Now, there's some of us that are employed, we work for someone else, and then there's some of us that we do the employing. Now, since you're one in the area that does the employing, how is it different with having to manage a company and manage a business as compared to, because you have worked in childcare settings, you have worked for the Ministry um of Housing, I believe you mentioned,
Home Affairs.
Home
Yeah,
Affairs.
I was a data entry clerk in the Ministry of Home Affairs for a brief moment. Yeah.
So you were employed and now you're in the seat of a manager. How is it different and how do you balance and juggle the the inter intricacies of, owning a business? Because I love to sleep, is it
Oh wow.
a little bit more because I love sleep. I don't know if I can manage employees.
Well, let me say this much. I love this part of the conversation basically because I can help you to understand that I was an employee for a brief moment or for brief moments at the various places of employment in my life. I was an employee, and for while I was employed at the Ministry of Home Affairs, I I used to find it so difficult to get up in the morning, to prep, to travel for nearly 45 minutes to get to the office for 8 a.m. It was such a stretch for me. And I tried my best, but it just wasn't cutting it. I wasn't feeling comfortable. And one of the things is that I found myself in the wrong pair of shoes. I can remember because we had to be moving at one point in data entry. We had to be conducting surveys around the country and stuff. And I wore the wrong pair of working shoes. And that shoe literally nearly killed me. I'm telling you, it started locking my circulation and all kinds of things. It was a crazy experience. I got home from work one evening and my feet were so swollen at one point and it was so puffed and there was a line at another part just by my toes because they was locked off. Although there was no circulation. So for a moment I had like dead toes. So I wore the wrong pair of working shoes and I totally realized that I needed to get out of this employee setting. And I can tell you this, it comes with a great level of discipline to manage and run your own business. Because let me tell you, sometimes business can be so tricky. It's a risk doing business, but it can be so tricky to the point where you tell yourself that you're going to make an investment today, you're going to make a turnover and it's going to be grand, and then it doesn't happen that way, and then you got to find reserves to go into to show up for the next day. And in all of that, I think that's what, that's what keeps teasing me, the fact that you don't know what's going to be the outcome, which in, yeah, you most times know what's going to be the outcome because you're doing something that people want, people love. However, you don't know what's going to be the outcome, and you just get into that mode and you put in the sacrifice. And when I say sacrifice, I've had so many sleepless nights. There are times when you have to go at 24 hours, especially when certain artists come in. Certain artists come in and you gotta meet deadlines. No sleep for 24 hours. And then you gotta keep batting and you gotta keep going and you gotta keep going. And you just there in the times when, things go south. Because let me tell you something, things have gone south many times. I've had many start over periods. I've opened a business with empty shelves. I've opened a business with um like not attractive shelves. I've opened a business with just working with what I have, because that's a places, those are some of the places that business will take you. And let me tell you this, you got to understand that pride got to go out of the window when you're going to get into business. And being in business as a woman especially, because men possess a certain amount and level of strength, but as a woman now, when you got to find that strength that you didn't know that you possess, I'm telling you, you got to find it. However, as I'm telling you about the sacrifices and being in the employee setting, now in the setting of an employer, it's a very exonerating feeling for me, because they say once you do what you love, you've never worked a day. And I have found that I truly love, exactly, everything that I do, I love doing it. And that's the reason why I can show up in the times when things are not so well. And look, I can tell you, getting on the path of success, many times they don't tell you the things that would that will come your way. Many times it doesn't tell you the things that would come your way. But you really
Yeah.
got to get rid of pride, and you have to be determined to sacrifice and to put yourself out there transparently. And I just want to talk a little bit about when I didn't have the resources, but I had the dream and I wanted the resources. And for me, for the most part of my life, I heard no a lot. I heard no a whole lot, because, that was the circumstance at that time. And that actually caused me to feel a bit fearful. It had me feeling a lot fearful when I would have stepped out into the business arena, knowing that I needed funding to fuel what I wanted to build. And I can remember going to money lending agencies, to the bank, for example. And I'm grateful for the people that I'm surrounded by when I made engagements in business. I went to the bank and I applied for a loan one time. And you know what? It was so favorable for me in the sense that I prayed about the matter and I went forth. And you listen, you gotta pray and know that you got still gotta listen. When you pray, you gotta wait for instructions. It's not because, oh, I pray, oh, I need help, God. I need some money. I need to go to the bank, and you're gonna just pray and rush there. You gotta wait, because there's a timing. There's a synchronized timing for when you are trusting God to help you to build your life and build your dream. And you need to understand that He has the timings really set and orchestrated. So, guys, I went to the bank after praying. 2 weeks after praying, I received the instruction that I should move now. And I went to the bank and I presented a pitch for a loan for my business. And the pitch actually didn't cut it. The pitch did not cut it. What happened? It was so remarkable that the loan officer there rewrote a pitch for me and presented it, and I was able to land that loan because I didn't really meet the criteria. There's something about when you're going to do anything that if you don't put God in the midst of it, if you really don't have a true heart to put God in all your ways, you wouldn't make it. And I was successful on that loan, and I was able to, do everything that I wanted to do. And I am always gonna be, you know, expressive about how I feel in terms of you wanting to do what you gotta do and putting God in the midst of it. Because if you don't do that,
Mhm.
many times you wouldn't get to where you want to go.
Yeah, yeah, that is good. So basically, even as you um for work for people for those that are actually employed by someone. So we, sometimes it's not always a the check is guaranteed. That's if you're healthy and if you're a whole. But then being a manager and sitting in the seat of an employer, there's so many factors that can negatively impact you. Like say one day you're sick or, you're unable to get out of bed because of stuff, there's so many things that it's just you, correct?
Yes.
It seems like a headache that I don't think I am capable of handling. But as women, we are birthed with that strength to produce. We were given the womb. We were given the thing that in essence to create and to birth things into existence. And so even with you
Yes.
creating your business and creating a name for your business and and all the intricacies that
Hmm.
I remembered having conversations with you and you're like, girl, I gotta get off the phone, I gotta go do these books. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it sounds like
Yes.
a lot. Would you say that, getting in your advice to women that want to start something or want to get into the entrepreneurial arena, would you say that getting into business is very hard? And how would you advise them to take that start, to take that leap of faith, um, you know, with God to pursue what it is that they're desiring to pursue, even right now? Because I do believe that each one of us has a seed that has been placed in each of us to produce and to birth and to grow something that, will speak volumes for not only this generation, but generations to come. So, what advice would you give to women that want, they have something in their hand, right? And they want to get started, but then there is fear, there is the lack of resources, there's the lack of emotional, psychological, verbal support that they may not have. Like, what advice would you get? Like, how do I get my start? If I am not a business,
Listen,
how
here
do
how you're gonna get
I get
started. Here, here what I'm gonna tell you, women out there. If you decide and you have ideas and you have plans, even if you are in an employee setting as we speak, if you have that idea within you, start from where you are, start right now. Why I say this is when I manufacture plantain chips, and I can say boldly without any fear or favor that they're the best plantain chips in the world, basically because I've put emphasis and I've put effort into, the dynamics of what I do, and I try to prepare it to the best of my ability, and the reports, the feedbacks are awesome. But I'm going to tell you, start from where you are, start right now, because I fry hundreds of pounds of plantains. I literally was, this hand actually at one time, it became, my hand literally seized up. The muscles in my hand, they started to, they started to react. They started to act out, and I couldn't use my index finger or my thumb, basically because of the amount of plantains that I would fry.
Wow.
However, what I'm saying to you is this. When I had the idea, I didn't have the resources that I possess now. I started with, many of us would know, with the green stove. many of us would know is the kerosene stove. I didn't use the fireside. Many people use the fireside, but I use the kerosene oil green stove, the one burner. I serviced that thing. I pulled the wicks to the right level so that I could get adequate heat. And I had a little skillet and I put it on there and I said, I'm going to fry plantain chips. And I didn't have what we would call the machine that is going to seal the packet that I seal my packets with now. I had an idea of what I wanted my product to look like. So I went out looking for a certain kind of packets and I didn't have a heat seal. You know what I do? I took a knife, a file that you file the knife with, and while I frying the same plantain chip on the one burner kerosene oil stove, I put a file in the fire and I had a damp cloth next to it. And while I'm packaging the chips, I would take the file out of the fire, quench it on the damp cloth, and I would use that hot file and seal the packets because I didn't want to do the knot and tie thing. And I wanted to ensure that the product would be sealed because sometimes you tie it and then air still gets in. And there's where I started. So I didn't wait to say, oh, I need a big industrial burner or a big fryer or nothing to that sort. That's how I started. So if you have that business idea and you want to become a woman in business, once you get started, I can assure you this, that everything that you need when you decide that you're going to start and you pray and you commit that start into God's hand, everything that you need, it starts falling into place. Because after I sat in a series of teachings in church under the themes of profitability, accountability, and credibility, and using your tools, your gifting as tools, I, from there, started meeting people. People started looking for me. And I am in one of the greatest women network right now. I am an Emperteco. Yes, Empertech is a women's support group where we go, we meet, and we share ideas, exchange. We speak about our struggles, and we're able to counsel and mentor each other through the seasons, of business. And because I decided to start, and I can remember 1 year after starting when I doing the one burner kerosene, I stove hot in the file in the fire processing of my products. A year after, I was able to receive a grant. That was free money.
Wow.
A grant. Basically because I started. What I'm going to say to any woman that's going to get into business, you need to get started and you need to start now. Because if you don't have something to work with, opportunities will not be able to come your way. They will not meet you. And another thing that I want to say importantly, that the discipline that is needed in terms of keeping your record keeping is one of the most important disciplines that you will ever learn in business. And I can tell you this basically because when I went to another bank to land another loan, if I had no record to show, you must have track records. If I had no record to show, the agency would never have known that, okay, this is the kind of money that was coming in to my business over periods and monies that were going out and on the level of which I was doing business. So a little tip I leave with you, make sure that every little money that you spend, make sure you get a book and write it down. Put it on the income and expenditure and put the date. It can work for you in the future once you are sure and settle that business is the way you want to go.
Wow, awesome. It sounds like it takes a lot of discipline and focus as to,
Yeah.
stay the course. And, because it seems like easily you can, fall to the wayside of little slip ups, mismanagement, not accountability. All these are aspects that are important and essential to you becoming successful and maintaining what you have built. And you talked about the kerosene oil stove and pulling wicks and all these things. And But it, you know, and even in building something of that becomes well known, a lot of times we see the iceberg, but we don't see the underlying things, that the intricacies of what is below the iceberg. And even as Laura spoke, you know, it doesn't sound glamorous. It does not sound, you know, when we have arrived to the place where we're successful, and, you know, we see the shimmer and you see the shine, and you don't really see the tears, the sweat, the blood, like she said, that you have had to go through, and what you've had to walk through, the valley times, and, you know, the times when you felt like this, you were on your last leg, you were not able to pull yourself up, or you don't have the people in your corner to pull yourself up. You know, it's like, so what do you do? But a little change of pace. I just wanted to ask you, so a woman in business and relationship, do you think getting into a relationship, do you think the person, opposite partner, would be threatened by your accomplishments? You know, you're wearing the jacket of a manager. You're wearing the pants of an employer, and sitting in a seat where, you know, looking at history was never meant for us. You know, it's like, even looking at biblical scriptures, it talks about a woman being the helpmeet. You know, and do you think men look at you in with a perception that, okay, well, you're might come off authoritative or controlling because you're managing a business? And do you take that same mindset and you go into a relationship? And how do you balance that? And how, you know, kind of expound on that a little bit?
Well, as it is, as I would have had prior encounters. Thing is, being a woman in business, men most times see me as like a jackpot, like they hit the jackpot. I tell you, yeah, they see it like, you know, they hit the jackpot. There's like the leprechaun will find the gold on the other side of the rainbow. Yeah, the gold pot.
Oh.
They see you as oh, I can deal with a woman like this,
Mm,
basically because she's an asset. She isn't a liability. She
mm,
ain't gonna want this and she gonna want that. She can provide for herself. However, many times that's not the case because a business is most times like a baby. A business demands so much attention. A business demands so much of your time and everything else. And if you're going to be a woman in business and you're going to find a partner, you need to find a partner with a whole lot of understanding because many nights you wouldn't be in your bed depending on the business what you're doing. Even if you're doing an online business, I can say, because servicing the clients and reaching out to the people and making sure and ensuring that you are relevant, it takes dedication and devotion. And many times it's a case where there are some threats. Yes, there are some threats because when you as the woman are your own boss and then you realize that you earn enough to take care of yourself, you think, well, okay, there's no need for, you know, a partner. However, there is a great need for a partner because your support, your greatest support needs to come from that partner that you will choose. However, because you don't want knowing that you have a baby, the business is your baby, and then you're gonna have another baby that's talking on demanding and calling on the other side. So there must be a balance. So I think any woman that's going to choose a partner in business needs to understand what is the role that they will want the partner to play in the business, and there from that standpoint choose. Because you can say, oh yeah, I can choose somebody that is up, or I can choose somebody that, you know, that possesses a great lot. But however, there's something deeper about having a partner that will support you no matter what. That is the importance and that's the essence of choosing a partner when you're a woman in business.
so you mentioned being the asset and being the gold mine. Do you think that a man would potentially think that, okay, well, she's capable of doing it by herself. She's capable of maintaining. Do you think that kind of creates a situation in his mind eventually that, okay, well, she did, I don't need to do certain things? Do you think it creates some disparity or some gaps in the relationship where he might think that, okay, well, she can do it, so I don't need to do it? Do you think there's the potential for that happening?
Yes, there is, because everything comes down to perception. However, all of that can be reversed or dealt with when communication is um, the forerunner of the relationship, because many things need to be communicated, because people will see you in a certain light and perceive a certain kind of thing. However, that's not the case. So you need to communicate so that you guys both can overcome these obstacles, I would call it, because it can become a nasty and a one-sided affair when, yeah, the man is earning and the woman is earning more, basically because she's earning her own money and she's in business, and sometimes he may have a 9 to 5 job. So it's a thing. And then, but when you are in business, the amount of demands that you have in terms of the obligations to, you know, man and take care of and manage, in terms of keeping the capital rolling, keeping everything relevant and trending, it takes investment. So many times the money that comes in, it needs to be injected into various areas for development and for the betterment of the business. And in that stage and that case and point, communication is what's important when you're gonna have someone in your life that you're gonna move forward in business with, and they having a 9 to 5 and you earning a little bit more. Communicating is what will help you to understand, well, okay, this is how we're gonna balance it out and come to compromises. Otherwise, no, it won't work. It can always be a tug of war.
So, okay, my final question to you, Amanda. At what point, we can throw the word success around, but everyone has like a different definition of what success and how it is defined. But at what point of your process, from when you began, you started with that idea that you wanted to be a woman in business, you went through that process. At what point of that process did you start feeling accomplished? Like, look in retrospect, at what point did you start feeling accomplished?
Well, I felt there are many of those accomplishment points, but I want to pull out I guess the most relevant, because I've had accomplishment points where I when I landed loans, when I started landing loans, when I went in and I made my pitch, I made my presentation, I proposed, I put my plan forward, and I got the yes, and I got the money. I felt accomplished there. I felt accomplished when I actually landed my own business space.
Wow.
Yeah, and relationships are very important outside of intimate relationships. Relationships are very important to maintain if you're going to be in business, because there are times when you will need to transact business when you ain't got money. And relationship is the only way that you're going to get something that you need, and you're going to pay later, basically because of good relationships. So relationships outside of the intimate relationships are good to maintain. I've had those moments where when I landed my own business space, that was a moment of accomplishment for me. I felt like, oh, yeah, I'm actually doing something. When I landed my first heat seal, no longer having to put a file in the fire, I felt accomplished then, because I went through the process and, knowing the struggles and stuff. I felt accomplished when I actually felt I was selected to receive a grant, free money, when people bought into my proposal and they were like, oh, we have this money here and we can give you this to develop this. That was a moment of accomplishment for me. But My greatest moment of accomplishment was when I took my product out to the marketplace and I did sample distributions. This is my very first step into the manufacturing world. I took my products out and I awaited the answers from the various businesses. And when I was told that, yes, we're interested in your product, you can bring this amount, let's start and see how it's going to work. And I did carry the amount. And from that first week, the other weeks, the orders started increasing. Then is when I felt accomplished. I felt most accomplished then because I realized that what I'm doing is actually making an impact. It's actually, there is a demand for what I'm doing out there.
Wow.
People like what I'm doing. And that was my most fulfilling moment. That was the moment when I felt as though I can make a difference. I can do business as a woman. I can be successful. And at that time, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would even be bankrupt 5 years into business.
Wow.
However, the fulfillment of that very first moment where I was received in the world of business
Wow.
has helped me to survive through all those torrents, helped me to survive all those moments, those brokenness, those tears, those times of hopelessness. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. So
Wow.
again, I would say to anyone that has that idea, you need to start now. And you will, like me, end up in that place where you will find your fulfillment and you will feel what's like to know that everything that you're doing and the efforts that you're pushing in is actually making sense.
Wow. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to our Facebook friends and family. We have taken 40 minutes of your time. Thank you for joining today, April 4. 4 is symbolic of open doors. And we just wanted to bring to you this edition of Women in Business. And we just want to say that you can do it. The start may not seem glamorous, it might not be the way it might not be reciprocated well or accepted by those that don't share your same vision, that don't share your same dream. But once you stick to it, you stay focused, you stay disciplined, there's a favor that it will come upon whatever it is that you put your hands to do, whatever is in your hand, whatever that you have in your heart that you want to pursue, you can do it with focus, discipline, accountability. Some of the things that Laura shared today, you can use those as tips. And I just want Laura to do a plug for Two Foods. We thank you so much for joining us. Also, subscribe to Deborah's Muse. You can read about this edition of Women in Business on Deborah's Muse. You can find those links on my Facebook page, and you can be sure to check it out. Get your start. Laura?
Okay, guys. That now that we're bringing the curtain down to such an interesting interview, and I told you, as promised, when I shared on my story, that it's gonna be a juicy moment where I get into a little more depth of who Laura Batson is, where Tooth Food started, how Tooth Food was derived, and I'm happy to fulfill on my promise. I am super grateful. I want to extend and express gratitude to persons who have always supported Two Spoon, who make sure and ensures that the shelves are clean so that we can have refills like ever so often. The persons who comes to support um, the most delicious barbecue in the world. Yeah, that's what Two Spoon does. We create the most tasty stuff ever. Yeah, thank you to all of my supporters, to all of the clients, to all of my fans, to all of the customers. From my heart, and you hear of my humble beginnings, I am proud I am humbly proud to be able to serve you as a provider in the business world, in culinary. And all I'll continue to do is my best in terms of putting my foot forward and bringing you things that will fulfill your desires and, ensure that you feel the satisfaction that I feel when I would create and bring them out to you. So to all of the viewers that are on here today, to all of my live wires that jump in on Laura Batson's lives on the 5 day a week lock on, thank you guys so much. And to all of the Empertecos, I want to say thank you as well. To the mother of the Empertecos, she is one of my biggest supporters. And she's not a person that likes to be called out, but the mother of the Empertecos, the CEO of Empertec, I want to say thank you very much. That is a woman that believed in me in a time when there was this workshop that was for 6 days. And that was the workshop that revolutionized and changed my life. Out of 120 interviews, they were supposed to select 25 persons. I was the youngest and I was selected. And I didn't even have money at the time. And we negotiated, and she believed in me and she pushed me. And she has been my number one supporter to date. Thank you to all of the markets that continue to call and place their orders. I want to say thank you to Deborah's Muse for this exposure. I am super grateful. And I just want to hold it together for a moment to let you know that in spite of everything, in the times when I was missing, in the times when it seemed as though it wasn't working, I've always thought of all of you. And that's what has kept me showing up. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. And again, I would never, ever trade what I'm doing right now for the world, because the signature has already made its indelible print. So again, thank you. And it was lovely being here on set with you on this April 4, 444.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You are a leader in itself. Like your selflessness, I pray that today is a motivation to many women out there. Like even as myself, I admire you. I'm your eldest sister. That's a plug.
You
But
had to let the cat out the bag. You had to let the cat out the bag.
but I'm saying like I admire you because of I always looked at you. I'm like, okay, well, Laura always had, she does things with her hands. She can create these things, and I'm like, what do I have? I'm like, okay, well, I do science. What's exciting about that? But I have learned today that anything is possible once you have once you have will. That is what she mentioned. Once you have the will, the way opportunities will present itself. But once you are prepared, those are the two things that will connect, that will be the driving force to where that accelerates you to that place you want to be. And so just start. Just start. Thank you guys for viewing.
Yes.
We love you so much.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
so
all your
much. Thank you so
support,
much.
all my friends, family. We see you. And remember, you can read more of this interview on deborahsmuse.com, and be sure to continue to follow us. Have a wonderful Resurrection Sunday evening, and know that the Lord reigns, and with Him you can do all things. With Christ, He gives
Yes.
you strength. Thank you again, and have a
Thank you guys. Thank you
bye bye.
guys. See you later. Bye.